Welcome to the Unseen, a place where real stories whisper from the dark. If you dare, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, because each night, a new tale awaits to haunt your screen.
It was exactly 2:08 a.m. when I opened my eyes to the soundless hum of flickering lights above me. The corridor I stood in wasn't familiar. It felt like a dream, but smelled too real. Mold, wet concrete, old electricity. The walls were an institutional green, faded and cracked like skin peeling after a burn. Light bulbs overhead twitched in an offbeat rhythm, like they were watching me. My feet were bare against the sticky, cold floor. I didn't remember walking here. I didn't remember sleeping. I didn't remember anything. A thin hospital gown clung to my skin. No name. Just the number. 307. Stamped in faded ink across my chest. I called out, unsure why. Maybe to ask where I was. Maybe to ask who I was. No one answered. My voice echoed too sharply, like the air had corners. I took a few steps forward. The lights above buzzed louder, responding. The corridor stretched ahead long, identical, repetitive. Doors lined both sides. Their numbers didn't ascend or descend. They weren't in order. They weren't even consistent. One read 101. Then 811. Then nothing. Just scratches. As if someone had tried to erase whatever it used to say. Something felt wrong with the air. It tasted like wet batteries. My fingers tingled. I reached for the nearest doorknob. Cold. Smooth. Room 307. My number. A voice in my head said no. My hand moved anyway. I opened it. Inside. A small hospital room. Maybe 3 by 3 meters. A bed. A table. An IV pole without a bag. Fluorescent light above. Pale walls. The same sterile green. But on the bed someone was lying there. Breathing. Still. I stepped closer. My knees trembled. That face. That body. That was me. I froze. My stomach knotted. I blinked, hoping the vision would vanish. It didn't. The figure on the bed shifted, exhaled softly, sounded like my breath. Same scar on the chin, same mole under the eye. I backed away slowly. The hallway behind me had changed. No more doors. Just an impossibly long tunnel stretching into darkness. Then the whispering started. It was faint at first, like a radio too far from signal. Words with no shape. Just emotion. Dread. Pressure. Grief. I turned and ran. The corridor bent. Warped. Stretched. As if chasing me. No matter how far I went. It repeated. The same burned out light. Same scuffed tile. Same buzzing. I stopped. Tried to scream. Nothing came out. My voice stuck somewhere between throat and void. Behind me footsteps. Dozens of them. Marching in silence. I dared not turn. My shadow moved ahead of me. Though I hadn't taken a step. It detached. Lifted a hand. Smiled. I collapsed. When I opened my eyes, I was back in room 307. Alone. No other me. No whispers. Just the steady drip from a leak in the corner. I stared at my hand. Something had been scratched into the skin deep. Painful. Fresh. Not written. Etched. One word. Begin. The word burned into my palm, throbbed with meaning. I couldn't grasp. It felt like a command. Or a curse. I stood, knees shaky, and opened the door again. The hallway wasn't the same. It was slightly wrong, tilted. The floor dipped like a slow wave. The walls breathed. I could feel them inhaling as I passed. Faint movements just beneath layers of paint. Light flickered slower now, deliberately, like someone was controlling it. I walked. Doors appeared again. But they were wrong too. Some had no knobs. Some were slightly open but led only to brick walls or pure darkness. I passed one that let out the sound of a lullaby. A childish voice humming off key. I didn't dare open it. Then, a mirror, standing in the center of the hallway. Freestanding. Tall. Untouched by dust. I saw myself. But not as I was. My eyes in the reflection were red-rimmed. Lips cracked. Hair wet. My reflection didn't mimic me. When I blinked, it stared. When I smiled nervously, it grinned with hunger. Then it mouthed, slow and careful, "You ray still asleep." I turned away but the mirror didn't vanish. I turned again, gone. In its place, another door. Room 307. I backed away. My back hit something solid. Another mirror. They were everywhere now. Dozens. On the ceiling, floor, walls. Each one showing me, but not me. Versions of me that were crying, bleeding, decaying. One was hanging from a ceiling. Another was laughing hysterically in a padded room. I covered my eyes. But the laughter kept going, not from the mirrors now but from inside the walls. It echoed through the air vents, through the pipes, through my bones. I ran again. But the hallway had changed. It wasn't a hallway. It was a mouth. And I was already inside. Still, I ran past doors that opened by themselves. Saw shadows that didn't belong to anything. Heard voices of people I used to know. My mother, my teacher, myself, all repeating the same phrase. There's no way back. When I stopped, I was back in room 307. Again, the lights in room 307 hummed louder now. Like they recognized I had returned. My breath fogged slightly in the air though the room wasn't cold. I approached the mirror above the sink. Its surface smudged. My reflection stared back, not dead. Not twisted this time, just tired. Hollow-eyed. I turned the faucet. But instead of water, thick black liquid gurgled out. It smelled of rot and iron. I stepped back. And the faucet kept bleeding. On the wall behind me, the word return had appeared in condensation. I hadn't noticed it before. I wiped it away with a shaky hand. But it reappeared instantly. I turned around. Heart hammering. The door was gone. Where it had been was now just smooth wall. Trapped. The air shifted. I wasn't alone. From the corner of the room, where shadows gathered unnaturally, a sound began, something between a whisper and the grinding of teeth. Then, limbs. A figure uncurled itself. Backward. Wrong. Its joints bent the other way. Its head was smooth. Featureless. Save for a mouth stretching ear to ear. No eyes. No nose. Just a smile. Wide and steady. It didn't speak. But I heard it anyway. Inside my skull. "You've been chosen," I screamed. Not out loud. In my mind. In my bones. I backed into the ivy pole. It clattered to the floor, breaking the silence. The creature didn't move. It simply watched or sensed. Then, without touching me, I was flung back into the corridor. Not the same one. Dimmer. Narrower. The floor pulsed beneath my feet, like something alive slithered underneath the tiles. The doors here were smaller, misshapen, some tall, others toddler size, and every few meters, a crack in the wall leaked what looked like blood. I woke up choking on dust. Room 307 again. But this time, it was covered in webs. Decayed tools rusted on trays, and the stench of rot. A heart monitor beeped softly, though the bed was empty. My gown was damp, not with sweat, but with something thicker. I looked down. Brownish stains. Old blood. Behind the walls. Scratching. Fast. Desperate. Something trying to dig its way in or out. The room felt like it was shrinking, closing in. I reached for the door. It opened on its own. The hallway had changed. Red emergency lights pulsed above. Distant sirens howled, like a decades-old lockdown still in place. Bloodied footprints circled endlessly on cracked tiles. A voice came from above. Not from a speaker. From something else. Do not proceed. Isolation required. Do not proceed, but my legs moved forward. The corridor sloped downward. Deeper. Colder, like descending into a wound. I passed shattered gurneys. Tangled wheelchairs. Body bags that shifted slightly. I didn't look closer. Then something broke my mind. I passed room 307 again. And again. Now every door bore that number. I stopped. Open one. A funeral. My own. Closed casket. Empty chairs. Yet someone sobbed. I turned and saw myself. Alone in the back row. Crying for forgiveness no one could hear. I staggered out. Another door opened. A surgery room. Bright lights. Blood everywhere. Tools moving on their own. A whisper. Cut deeper, another room filled with versions of me. All dead. All rotting at different stages. All staring. I slammed the door. The corridor screamed. Yes. Screamed. The sound came from the walls, vibrating with violence. I fell. Ears ringing. Blood dripping from my nose. When I looked up, I wasn't in the hospital anymore. I was outside. But not free. Just a forgotten parking lot. Rusted ambulances. A sky that glowed sick green. And the building behind me, it was breathing. Its walls expanded. Windows pulsed like veins. Something inside was calling me back. And I stepped forward. Not because I wanted to, but because I belonged to it now. A sign flickered above. Admit. The ground split beneath me. I fell. Past rooms. Past screams. Past versions of myself clawing at the dark. Until I landed back on the bed in room 307. Awake. Or maybe not. It started with a mirror. Room 307 had no mirror before. But now it hung on the far wall, tall, cracked, covered in grime. I tried to ignore it, but it watched me. Its surface shimmered as if breathing. I approached. My reflection didn't move with me. It stayed still, eyes locked to mine. Then, it smiled. I didn't. The lights flickered. I looked back. The mirror was empty. My reflection gone. Behind me, the sound of shuffling. I turned fast, nothing. But now the room was reversed. Bed on the wrong side. Window sealed shut. The door gone. Only the mirror remained. I was trapped. Then, a sound from the glass. A heartbeat. Slow. Wet. The mirror pulsed with each thump. My reflection returned. But wrong. Mouth too wide. Skin peeling. And then it stepped forward. Out of the mirror. Onto the floor. It was me. But not. Pale. Twisted. Its voice whispered. You left me here, then it lunged. I didn't scream. I couldn't. My throat closed tight. I ran through the mirror. Fell into the hallway. But not the real one. This one was flooded. Water ankle deep. Filled with floating needles. Used gloves. Clumps of hair. Lights above blinked like eyes trying to close. I waded forward. Every door I passed whispered my name. Some screamed it. I covered my ears. But the voices came from inside my skull. One door opened on its own. Inside. Dozens of hospital beds. Each occupied by me. All in different suffering, burned. Stitched. Drowned. One sat up and spoke. We all remember, then they all turned to look at me. I ran. The hallway twisted. Folding in on itself. Gravity bent. I crawled across the ceiling. Blood dripped upward. Then, silence. Deafening silence. A final door. No number. Just a sign. You are already admitted. I opened it. Inside. A nurse's station. Files scattered. I found one with my name. Inside. The records read. Deceased upon arrival. Refused to leave. A mirror above the desk flickered on. My reflection was gone again. Only the room. Empty. Then, writing appeared in blood. You were never the patient. The lights burst. Darkness swallowed everything. And I woke up in room 307. Again. The clock in room 307 was ticking backward. Each second reversed. Faster and faster. Until time itself fractured. I blinked and the bed beneath me dissolved into rust. My skin split open. But no blood came out. Only static. White noise pouring from my wounds. Then, darkness. Not just around me, but inside. I could feel it crawling through my veins. Voices whispered. You were born here, you never left, you are the symptom. The walls peeled back. Revealing eyes. Hundreds. Watching. Judging. Some cried. Others bled. The ceiling cracked open. And a hand reached down, massive. Skeletal. Shaking. It pointed at me. My body floated upward against my will. Toward the hand. It whispered. We see you, I screamed. No sound came out. Then, I was in a morgue. Drawers pulled open one by one. Each body inside was me. Different deaths. Some still twitching. One sat up and looked me in the eye. You didn't survive. The first time I backed away into another corridor. It stretched infinitely. Walls pulsed like lungs. Alarms screamed from every direction. The floor melted beneath my feet. Becoming flesh. I ran. Slipping on tissue. Grabbing door handles that screamed when touched. One opened. Inside. A surgery in progress. The surgeons were headless. The patient me awake. Eyes wide. Unable to scream. I closed the door. My hands were gone. My arms ended in bone. I stared into the mirror across the hall and saw nothing. No reflection. Just the hallway behind me. But I wasn't in it. Suddenly, lights blinked. Sirens blared. A voice boomed. Code black. Containment breach from every door. Shadows spilled out long. Then, crawling fast on ceilings and walls. I ran again. But this time, they followed. Not to kill me. To drag me back. Back to room 307. I was the infection, and they needed me in the system. Forever. Room 307 wasn't a room anymore. It was a throat. Alive. Pulsing. wet walls of flesh contracting around me like muscle spasms. The door had vanished. Every surface breathed, inhaling my fear. I turned and saw something sewn to the ceiling, a nurse or what was left of one. Her mouth was stitched shut, her eyes wide and dry. She pointed at the wall. It peeled open like skin, revealing a massive operating theater. No lights, just the sound of suction and bone cracking. Hundreds of bodies on metal tables, each of them screaming in silence. No scalpels, just hands. Bare hands ripping flesh, tearing open chests. One of them turned. Her face was my mother's. Lips moved without sound. "You did this." I stumbled backward. The floor pulsed. Beneath it, something followed me. Thump, thump. A heartbeat not mine. I ran. The walls shifted, becoming ribs. I clawed at the surface, fingernails bleeding, but flesh wrapped around me tighter. Then a hatch appeared in the ground. I dropped through. No falling, just dropping. Instantly, I landed in a room full of file cabinets. Endless, row after row. Each drawer had my name. Each file a version of me. Some healthy, some mutilated. One showed me drowning. Another a birth that ended before I took my first breath. All stamped. Subject retained. Not released. From the darkness, a child giggled. Sharp. Glitch. Why? A boy stepped forward, my face, but younger. Rotten, empty eyes. He asked, "Why did you let them keep us?" Before I could answer, he stabbed a key into my leg. Not a knife, a rusted hospital tag key. I collapsed. The floor twisted. I was dragged through memories I never lived, experiments, surgeries, screams. Then I was in a hospital hallway, bright, sterile, empty. At the end, an old man lay on a bed, tubes in his arms. He was dying. His eyes opened, met mine. He whispered, "You were my last nightmare," then flatlined. Silence. Machines stopped. Lights died. But I was still there. Alive. A mirror appeared. I looked in. No reflection. Just room 307. And someone in the bed, watching me, smiling.
If you feel someone watching you tonight, maybe you're not alone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because in the shadows, another story is waiting. See you on the darker side.